My coworker Pam asked me if I would refinish this little stand for her. I don't do a lot of refinishing projects, but they are fun from time to time, and sometimes most fun is putting the finish back on and improving the looks of the project. This one is a little tired. It's got some pretty rough shape. Actually, the top doesn't have much finish left on it. It's got some marks from stuff being on its shelves over the years. It's got some fairly nice turn legs. I like the proportions of the little stand. In fact, before it's all said and done, I may make a copy of the legs and take some full-size drawing or diagrams of the various parts, particularly the top, and maybe recreate it in some kind of wood like an oak or something like that. I think it would look kind of nice. It's put together basically with nails and screws, so it's not really a piece of necessarily finely crafted furniture, although hey, there's nothing wrong with nails and screws. So the bottom and the middle shelf are some sort of plywood, maybe a 3/8 inch plywood or so. The top and the legs, I have no clue what they are, what kind of wood. They are definitely not like an oak or walnut or something like that. So we're going to treat them like that they're a maple or some sort of hardwood such as that. So we're going to make sure that they don't blotch or whatever when we go ahead to put the finish on them. The two shelves, like I said, are plywood, so we'll have to do with those what we can. It's a nice little project, and like I said, I like the proportions of the little stand. So we're going to go ahead and take some drawings of it. One thing I like about it is it fits flush to the everything in the back is flush to the back of the stand, so you can put it right up against the wall. There's not going to be any overhang or anything like that. So I think that's a nice feature. So it'd be nice for a little stand, maybe put some knickknacks on or a plant or something. So I said before it's all said and done, we'll probably go ahead and make a copy of it. All right, well, we got our little stand basically tore down to parade rest here. What I found was one of the joints was loose, so I was able to take it apart. What I found was it was put together with like 1/2 inch dowels or whatever. Fortunately, I was able to heat those joints up and with a little bit of persuasion get them apart. That worked on 3 out of the 4 of them. Of course, this one broke off. There's always got to be one. But what happened on this one was the screw that held the top on, actually, or well, one of the screws actually went up through the dowel and actually weakened it. And then when I was trying to take it apart, it actually snapped it off. So what we'll do is we'll drill that out and put a new dowel in there. I got the legs taken apart. I got them put together with the way they go together, and I got a cabinet maker's triangle on the bottom, so I remember that these two are the front and the left and the right and whatnot, so that keeps everything in order the way that it's supposed to go. We used a variety of tools, whatever it took to get the things apart. We got pliers, we got awls, we got hammers. We removed all the little screws and nails and everything that were holding the table together. So, well, I got all the old finish off the little knick-knack stand. Here's the top. It didn't come out too bad. You can see it's a glue up of several boards, with this board on this side being somewhat of a different color of sort. So the bottom I'm not real worried about. You're never going to see it, and to sand it all off it would have been a difficult challenge. I do like the way that the front stretcher is actually glued to the bottom of the top, so that's rather unusual. The legs, I was able to get the legs back onto the lathe. I found some centers on the top and the bottom, and I put them back on the lathe, and I cleaned them up as best I could. I sanded everything with 180, so it sure made it a lot easier putting that on the lathe than trying to sand all those little grooves and areas by hand. So that worked out pretty well. Here's the intermediate shelves. They are rough at best. They're some kind of three laminate plywood of some sort. This is actually the good side. This side is the bottom. So I sanded it a little bit, but I'm not even going to try and do anything with it. This is going to be as good as it gets. Like I said, I sanded everything to 180. I get the stretchers; they're good to go. Well, it's time to put some dye on our little knick-knack stand. I got the top here. What I done after I've stripped it and sanded it with 180, I've put on several coats of this pre-color conditioner by Charles Neal. It's supposed to prevent blotching and hopefully will even out the different colors of the wood here. Charles Neal has a website. If you Google Charles Neal, you'll find it. He has a lot of good information on woodworking in general, but also particularly on finishing. Our challenge, of course, is this dark piece of wood here on the edge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dye the entire top with this General Finishes medium brown dye. We're going for a kind of a walnut look on this thing, and because this is the darkest piece of wood, everything has to be at least this dark. So once I get this top done, I'll figure out what how dark it is, and that'll kind of give me a guideline on staining or dyeing the rest of the parts to match. All right, I got my dye in my Tupperware here. We're going to soak some up into our stain pad. We'll get a liberal amount in it. We want to put a good coat on this thing, so we're just going to go ahead and wipe it on, and then we wipe it off the excess with a paper towel. I'm going to do the edges while I have it here. Put that on there, and that's got a nice liberal coat on there, a little bit there on the edge. The thing about the dye is you can kind of manipulate it around as long as it's wet and kind of get it to be the color that you want. This is soaking it up like crazy with which I thought it probably would. The Charles Neal product is supposed to actually be what absorbs the colorant. It's supposed to not let it soak in so much and blotch is with some wood like cherry and maple and whatnot. So we'll see how we do here. It definitely gave it some color. We need to let it dry before we do anything else and make any further decisions on what else we need to do. But we can still see that this board is still darker than the rest of the pieces, so it's going to take a little bit of tweaking to get it to come out the way we want. All right, I've gone ahead and put a second coat of dye on this bottom part of this half of the top. It's starting to even out the color pretty well. We can see still got a little bit a difference, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to recoat the whole thing with another coat of dye. I'm going to put it on with a foam brush this time and then wipe it off with a paper towel and then clean up the edges and see if we can't get this to be nice and even. I'm going to recoat the whole thing so that hopefully these two now will dye to be the similar color. So we're just going to wipe it on with a foam brush. Make sure we get good coverage over everything. I'll take a rag or something and do the edges here in a minute once we get this top part the way we want it. Okay. We're just going to take a paper towel. We're going to start wiping it off. Make sure we get it nice and wiped well. Alright, I think I'm going to go ahead and let that dry. And then I might just take it's looking pretty good now, so once it dry, I might just take a rag and wipe the back part and see if I can make it even closer to being the same. But that's looking pretty well, pretty good at the moment. So that's how we dye the top of our little stand. Okay, here's the legs. They came out a nice, fairly even color, so that worked out pretty well. It's got a nice walnut tint to it and a walnut look. So once we put some lacquer on it, it's going to look really, really good. So we'll let all this dry and then we'll see how it looks after that. Alright, well I thought I'd show you what the final product looked like before we go ahead and put it all back together. This is the top, which came out really very nice. You remember we had this dark board up here, so I think we did a pretty good job of matching it. It's got several coats of lacquer on it, as you saw me spray with the spray station, and I came back and scuff sand it with some 320, and then I hit it with a rattle can of lacquer to put a final coat on it. The intermediate shells came out pretty good as well. This is the good side, which looks pretty nice. Actually, the bottom side didn't get the sawdust off. The bottom side didn't come out all that bad either. So, so that worked out pretty well. I like that. The legs also came out pretty nice. This is one of them. We sprayed them with some lacquer and got them all shined up and nice looking. So I think they're going to look real nice. They match the top and the rest of the table pretty well. So they're a little bit darker, but I think with the turning in the wood, I think it just absorbed a little bit more of the dye. So overall, we're pretty much getting ready. All this lacquer needs to dry overnight, and tomorrow I'll glue the stretchers together, and then we'll be finished with this project. Well, here's our little stand put back together. I think it came out very nice. It's got a walnut look to it, which I kind of like. It's put back together with the same screws, and most of the nails that we took out of it, I did improve it a little bit with some better glue, and put a couple of pocket screws in the bottom to kind of hold the top stretchers to the back stretcher. They were just kind of nailed on, but I think a couple of pocket screws hold that in there a little bit better. So we did that. It certainly looks a lot better than it did when it came in. It was a little tired, so I think it's ready for its second life. So I hope Pam is pleased with it. This little video is a little out of my normal, but I hope you enjoyed watching it, and we'll get back to regular woodworking and some wood turning in the next couple of videos. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.